I was recently in a nerd shop and I saw a copy of Halo Reach for sale. I've played Halo Reach before in the Master Chief Collection, but I've never owned a copy of the 360 version. As I've grown up, I've begun collecting things that are important to me. I like being able to hold them and turn them in my hands and look at them. It's something we've become less able to do with the rise of digital media, and I'm starting to miss the tangibility of something physical. My girlfriend was very kind, and over the past couple weeks has gifted me physical copies of all the first-person Halo games. I did not grow up with Halo. The first time I played any of these games was maybe 3 years ago. The first version I played was the PC port of Combat Evolved and the Vista port of Halo 2. After that, I played everything through the Master Chief Collection, which is to say that I don't have a lot of nostalgia for these games and the eras they were released in, but I've heard about those days. I've listened to Halo veterans recall what it was like back then. So now when I hold these games, it's like I'm holding an artifact from history. In place of nostalgia, I have reverence for the lives these games had before I found them. So I think of the MCC as a kind of museum of Halo. And in that sense, I think it's lacking something pretty integral to the Halo experience. You see, when I got my copy of Halo Reach home and put it in my Xbox, I was greeted by something I hadn't really ever experienced before. This. This is gorgeous. I love the atmosphere and simplicity of it. It's not super complicated, but it doesn't need to be. It sets the mood for the game and brings me into the world very well. This title screen is the doorway from the real world into the Halo universe. I took a look at all the other Halo games and found that each of them had beautiful title screens, except ODST, but we'll get to that. Take a look at the title screens from Halo 2 and Halo 3. They have these simple flyovers of locations from each game washed in this blue tint. This gives us a taste of the locations in the game. The low level of detail on the buildings and the blue coloring makes it feel like an element from Chief's heads-up display, like this is part of a dossier that he's looking over before his mission. Halo Combat Evolved gives us a flyover of the titular Halo ring, and more importantly, lets us listen to the incredible theme music. And despite the faults with the rest of the game, the title screen to Combat Evolved Anniversary does a good job of updating and recreating the original game's title screen. I'm torn about Halo 3 ODST's title screen. I like this part. It reminds me of the beginning of Blade Runner, and the neo-noir aesthetic of the rest of the game makes me feel like this was probably intentional. But once the opening scroll is done, we get taken to this image which doesn't really do as much for me as the other game's title screens have. I think it could be explained. ODST is a lonely trip for the rookie through tight and dark streets. It therefore makes sense that the game opens with this shot of the rookie alone and in the dark. But the problem is that a title screen doesn't have to serve the same purpose as the opening shot of the first cutscene. I think I would have forgiven it if the developers had pulled off something like the title screen of the new God of War, with the title screen seamlessly transitioning to gameplay. It seems like that might have been what Bungie wanted to do, seeing as this image is the title screen and the first shot of the first cutscene, but it's broken up by this loading screen which makes the idea lose its weight. Since the developers knew there would have to be this loading screen here, I wish they would have come up with something else for their title screen. It wouldn't have to be as grand as the other games. In fact, it probably shouldn't be as grand as them because of how much smaller and more personal ODST's narrative is. So yeah, not my favorite title screen, but the text at the beginning is cool and atmospheric. Halo 4 is the only game in the Master Chief Collection that was developed by 343. The title screen is simple, and I like it. It's a lot like the Reach title screen, and while I like Reach's a bit more, this is very pretty. I brought up that this was developed by 343 because I think it's sad that when they created the Master Chief Collection, they didn't bother including the title screen for Halo 4 that they created. I think each of these title screens should be available within the Master Chief Collection. With Microsoft sunsetting the online services for the 360 Halo games, the 360 itself being 2 generations ago, and 360 versions of these games not being available for purchase on the current generation's Microsoft Store, the MCC will be the only logical place for new players to acquire these games. That's how I first played them, so I missed out on this part of the game experience. I personally think that the MCC will be incomplete without including these title screens in some way. Even the ODST title screen should be included. For archival purposes, of course. I have some thoughts on how they could give us access to these title screens. The first and easiest is to stick them in the extras part of the MCC. Imagine if in addition to cutscenes and terminals, you could just watch the title screens for a bit. This would probably be pretty easy. 343 could get a video of each title screen looping, which all the title screens do anyways, and just add them to the videos section of the extras menu. This is not my preferred method of implementation, though. I'm a big fan of Valve games, specifically all the games that were included in the Orange Box. The Orange Box was a collection of 5 games bundled together. On PC, you could install them separately via Steam, but on console, when you put in the disc, you were greeted with this.
Welcome to City 17.
This menu shows you each game you could choose to play.
Oh my god. Striders really tore the hell out of this place.
Even so.
But then once you made your selection, it took you to that game's specific title screen and menu. This method preserves the original intent of the menus and title screens within the larger bundle of games. Personally, I would love if the Master Chief Collection leaned a bit more towards this method of organizing the games. In my ideal world, it will work something like this. You click into the campaigns menu here, and when you select a game, it would take you to that game's unique title screen. Now, I don't think this would be for everyone. I bet a lot of people like how the MCC works now, and that's fine. In fact, I think the current MCC title screen is beautiful just like the rest. It has these slow-moving shots of banshees that look almost like they're suspended in a diorama. The camera moves over them like your eyes would slowly pass over the curves of a vase in a museum. These banshees are on display, as is the rest of the Master Chief Collection. I like this title screen, but it too will fade away when the next season starts. I remember the last title screen too, with the same slow-moving shots, but at that time they were of scorpions and Master Chief and bullets. And you know what? I want to be able to see that title screen again too. I would love it if those were accessible to me. I want an option to enable those old title screens if I want them. And you can say, that would bloat the download size. Okay, can I have them as DLC? I guess what I'm trying to say is the Master Chief Collection is supposed to be a celebration of all the games that came before, and pretty soon it will be the only reasonable way to access those games. I just think the title screens haven't been celebrated as much as they should be. I hope that someday, when I boot up the MCC, when I go to the campaigns menu, and when I click on Reach, I see this. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments which title screen is your favorite, and if you'd like to see them in the MCC someday too.